Okay, now we can start talking about the golden mean. And I want to warn you, talking about the golden mean is kind of like taking a hike into the bayous south of Louisiana, both without boots or protective gear against water moccasins. It can be kind of bizarre and dangerous, but we need to start. And we're going to start with this.
I'm here to share a secret I learned at age 13, which transformed my life, my work as a Fortune 100 strategist. It catalyzed my self-education. This golden key to our genius and our connection is the golden ratio. Also known as phi, the divine proportion, the golden mean, it's nature's perfect proportion for bringing parts together in a greater whole. It manifests as the ratio 1.618 to 1. In the golden rectangle, the golden spiral, and star, in the ratio between the numbers in the Fibonacci sequence. The golden ratio guides matter and the movement of energy in the universe, from the golden spirals of galaxies to hurricanes, ocean waves, flower petals, and nautilus shells. It is the pattern of life. Atoms dancing in golden spirals, the geometry of our DNA, the proportions of our body, our golden spiral heartbeat. Everywhere we find the golden ratio at play. It's the proportion of beauty, which can be enhanced in our face with the golden ratio eyebrow sculpting system developed by Anastasia of Beverly Hills. It's present in structures ancient and modern. That's Grand Central Station, lower left. Geniuses from Da Vinci to Einstein were fascinated by the golden ratio. It's present in the works of Steve Jobs and Team Apple, the music of the Beatles, Mozart's symphonies, and the greatest video of all time, Michael Jackson's Thriller. Plays a key role in the Da Vinci Code, Kiefer Sutherland's new series, Touch, and in the current worldwide smash single, Gautier and Kimbra's Somebody That I Used to Know. Everyone carries a golden rectangle in their wallet. It's used in stock market forecasting in the Elliott Wave and in the Millionaire's Map Abundance Growth System. Twitter and many great websites use it as a constant in their design. It's found throughout the world in great art. To take great pictures with the Da Vinci Touch, download the free app Camera Awesome. It's awesome. It's nature's secret nutrient for health and longevity. Peak performance is an outcome. That's me after winning a race a few weeks ago using the Fibonacci-based training system. It is a constant in our connection with one another and with all life. I'll close with a quote from William Blake. To see a world in a grain of sand and a heaven in a wild flower, hold infinity in the palm of your hand and eternity in an hour. Each of us carries an infinity of compassion, wisdom, and grace in the palms of our golden ratio hands. Now that you know the secret of this universal genius and connection activation factor, what gifts, what treasures will you discover and share to light the world for one and all? Thank you.
Well, that is Matthew Cross, the author of The Divine Code, with his co-author Robert Friedman. He's got a book out. Those claims are pretty expansive. What I learned at 13 was to listen politely, but then check. Now, I get to show off here. Now, remember your favorite part of second grade, show and tell? These are calipers which are designed to show the golden mean. They're manufactured by a wonderful craftsman in New Zealand. They've got these really great cases, and they come in 3 sizes like Goldilocks. Here is one of the small ones, and you can move this caliper so that whatever the length is, this point will always be the golden mean between these 2 extremes, always 0.618. Now, I'm going to take out the grandpa size caliper. And these kinds of calipers were used in the Middle Ages, apparently, by Masons. Here's a great big caliper. Okay, so let's go up here to Mr. Cross's arm. And I'm going to extend my calipers. I'll do it this way. And see, there is the finger, the end of the finger. I've got that. Now, does his own illustration conform to the golden mean? No, it doesn't. You can see that this line here, which is illustrates maintaining, is part of the golden mean. Let me get that just about right. Is off a little bit. Now, this kind of expansive attributions for the golden mean annoys a lot of people, legitimately. And you have to be kind of skeptical of what's going on. And as an antidote for these kinds of expansive claims, we have this.
Stanford University.
So, welcome back, everyone. The sign-up sheet is wandering around if you haven't yet signed up. Sometime within the next couple of days, I was away at the end of last week. I was in Baylor University in Texas and didn't have time to do this. But sometime I'll go through the list and see those of you who want to do this for credits, and I'll send out an email and we'll sort of start some negotiations about what kind of work you're interested in doing to do it on a credit basis. And I want to pick up on a theme that we just really touched upon last time when I was talking about the introduction of numbers to Western Europe, modern Hindu-Arabic arithmetic, and mentioned that Leonardo of Pisa in his Mammoth.
And that's Keith Devlin, and I cut him off at that point, not out of rudeness to Professor Devlin, but it's an hour-and-a-half presentation about the golden mean, the Fibonacci series, as part of a class, Introduction to Mathematics, that he has online courtesy of Stanford University. It's an excellent series, and I heartily recommend it to you. But it is a corrective to many of the expansive claims that are made on for the golden mean and the golden ratio. I don't agree with everything that Professor Devlin says. I think he's a little lead-footed when it comes to looking at the arts, and sometimes just wrong, as I'm going to demonstrate. But it's very good nonetheless. And so as you go surfing the net after you've put into your search engine golden mean or golden ratio and pulled up all sorts of stuff, really go to this great Stanford presentation as a way of cleaning yourself off of some of the more excessive claims that are made for it. But having said that, let's take a look at what this golden mean is.
In the year 1202, Leonardo of Pisa, better known as Fibonacci, uncovered a link for merging the study of mathematics, nature, and art. Not only did Fibonacci introduce the Christian world to the Hindu-Arabic numerals we use today, but he also posed a seemingly innocuous problem about bunny rabbits. Fibonacci wanted to know how many rabbits would be produced in a year, beginning with a single pair. He assumed that starting in January and continuing every month thereafter, each pair of rabbits would bear a new pair once they were a month old. As he worked towards a solution, he noticed a pattern emerging. The number of rabbit couples increased in a certain sequence each month. 1, 2, 3, 5, 8, 13, 21, and so on. Each number in this series equals the sum of the two previous numbers. 3 plus 5 equals 8, 5 plus 8 equals 13, and so on. These numbers, growing to infinity, are known as the Fibonacci series. This may appear to be of little consequence, but these numbers would become the key to unlocking more mysteries than a plague of bunnies. For instance, in the field of botany, the structure of flowers is based on Fibonacci numbers. Lilies have a radial symmetry based on 3. Violets have 5 petals. Sunflowers have petals totaling 33, 55, or 89. This phenomenon, not explained until 1993, appears to go beyond genetics to the natural dynamics of growth. Whether it is the spiral of consecutive seeds in a sunflower, the spiraling growth of a chambered nautilus, or the branching structure of bronchi in the lungs, organic growth is often guided by a mathematical ratio stemming from the Fibonacci series. As Fibonacci numbers increase, the proportion of two successive numbers becomes more and more similar. The ratio approaches but never reaches an infinite decimal beginning with the numbers 1.618. This ratio was given the name the divine proportion and was later called the golden mean. Eventually, it was given the abbreviation phi after the initial of the Greek sculptor Phidias, creator of the artwork on the Parthenon. As early as the Pythagorean school in 500 BC, the Greeks studied the ratio of phi and developed a method of constructing a rectangle with sides measuring 1 and phi. With a perfect square, a line from the midpoint, and an arc, they created what was later called a golden rectangle. The Greeks also found that if they removed the original square, what was left was itself a golden rectangle. The Greeks believed that the golden rectangle held a mathematical key to beauty, and they incorporated it into many designs. The most striking example may be the Parthenon, with most of its proportions based on golden rectangles. The Greeks were not the first to use the visual balance of phi in their architecture. 5,000 years ago, the Egyptians based the design of the Great Pyramid of Cheops on golden proportions. This measurement may not have been intentional, but it reinforces the belief that phi holds some universal aesthetic appeal. For centuries, artists have studied the psychology of beauty, while biologists have sought to untangle the complexities of nature. Yet it was Fibonacci, an Italian mathematician 800 years ago, who found the common mathematical thread that connects these two disciplines and provides a deeper understanding.
And this.
Come on, let's go to ancient Greece, to the time of Pythagoras, the master egghead of them all.
Pythagoras?
The father of mathematics and music.
Mathematics and music?
Ah, you'll find mathematics in the darndest places. Watch. First, we'll need a string. Stretch it good and tight, plunk it. Now divide in half. Plunk again. You see? It's the same tone, one octave higher. Now divide the next section. And the next. Pythagoras discovered the octave had a ratio of 2 to 1. With simple fractions, he got this. And from this harmony in numbers developed the musical scale of today. As their mathematical discoveries, only members were allowed to attend. They had a secret emblem, the pentagram.
Well, I'll be a frustrated kid.
It was our old friend Pythagoras who discovered that the pentagram was full of mathemagic. The two shorter lines combined exactly equal the third. And this line shows the magic proportions of the famous golden section. The second and third lines exactly equal the fourth. Once again, we have the golden section. But this is only the beginning. Hidden within the pentagram is a secret for creating a golden rectangle, which the Greeks admired for its beautiful proportions and magic qualities. The star contains the golden rectangle many times over. It's a most remarkable shape. It can mathematically reproduce itself indefinitely. All these rectangles have exactly the same proportions. This figure also contains a magic spiral that repeats the proportions of the golden section into infinity. To the Greeks, the golden rectangle represented a mathematical law of beauty. We find it in classical architecture. The Parthenon, perhaps one of the most famous of early Greek buildings, contains many golden rectangles. Same golden proportions are also found in their sculpture. In the centuries that followed, the golden rectangle dominated the idea of beauty in architecture throughout the Western world. The Cathedral of Notre Dame is an outstanding example. The Renaissance painters knew this secret well. Today, the golden rectangle is very much a part of our modern world. Modern painters have rediscovered the magic of these proportions. Indeed, this ideal proportion is to be found in life itself.
Boy, oh boy, oh boy. This is mathematics. I got mathematical figures like that.
Donald.
Get me to it.
No.
Ideal proportion.
Not quite. No, I'm afraid not. Well, we can't all be mathematically perfect.
Oh, yeah? Yeah, I knew I could do it.
Now that you're all pent up in a pentagon, let's see how nature uses this same mathematical form. The petunia. The star jasmine. The starfish. The wax flower. There are literally thousands of members in good standing in nature's Pythagorean Society of the Star. All nature's works have a mathematical logic, and her patterns are limitless. proportions of the golden section are often found in the spirals of nature's designs. The profusion of mathematical forms brings to mind the words of Pythagoras. Everything is arranged according to number and mathematical shape. Yes, there is mathematics in music, in art, in just about everything. And as the Greeks had guessed, the rules are always the same.
That is a clip. Let me turn on our lights here. That is a clip presentation called Dawdled in Mathmagic Land, which after this has a wonderful description of a billiard game. And if you're teaching the Golden Mean at all, or mathematics, particularly to young children, use this material from Disney. It really is wonderful, and it's readily available. Again, this is just a short clip from this longer presentation. But these two presentations about the Fibonacci series and the Golden Mean are a good way of introducing the business of the golden ratio. Let me go over how the Greeks constructed it. Now, remember, the Greeks only had two bits of technology for their mathematics. They had a straight edge and a compass. And the way in which they constructed it, and which we all can very easily can construct a golden rectangle, is by taking a straight line, making it into a square. Then, extending, getting our compass and finding the midpoint in the square and extending an arc to where it intersects the baseline of our square. We then extend that baseline. And then we extend that baseline further up and over, making a rectangle. Now, that rectangle that we have is the rectangle that displays the golden proportion. In other words, from here to here, this point is 0.618 of that distance. And that is the number which is generally used now for the golden ratio, or phi. Now we can take the other rectangle, this rectangle that we have made, and take its baseline and make it into a square. And we make that into a square. We now have another geometric unit of this square and that rectangle. Well, this rectangle and that rectangle and this rectangle all share the same proportion. Different sized, but the same proportions. We can then take this rectangle and use this line as our idea for making a square, and create a square here, and we have another rectangle. Now, what's going on with this proportion? The size is changing, but the relationship is the same. The size is changing, but that ratio is being repeated on multiple levels. And we can continue this process, and we get another square and another rectangle. We can continue it even further. And if we take an arc, we go back to our compass, and we put our compass here, and we create an arc, and then we put our compass here, and we create an arc, and we put our compass here, we create an arc, we put our compass here, we create an arc, we continue this, you can see that we have something rather close to a spiral. Now, rather close, that's important. Now, I flip this over. That's just so that these two slides agree. And you can see that here we have that design again. And again, this is simply off the Wikipedia website, that you have these series of arches of something which approaches a spiral. It's not a spiral, and mathematicians quite legitimately get very upset with folks who say that the golden ratio produces a spiral. It doesn't. It produces something really, really close to the spiral. And here again, this is courtesy of Wikipedia, we have that difference between the golden ratio arches and the spiral shown here in the difference between the green and the bright red lines. The green line is an actual spiral, and this red line is simply those circles of arcs. But it's really, really close. Very, very close. And we find that natural spiral in all sorts of natural things. Now, one of the natural things we find it in is this.